They're running on that populist thing, aren't they? So they're jumping in one puddle and out of the other, aren't they? It's like, okay, oh shit, the energy's shifted. Okay, you know, football shirts on. I mean, the shirt over his shirt and tie. Fucking hell. I mean, clearly football isn't an Etonian thing, is it?
Jason Williamson, hello.
Hello.
How's it going? Yeah, good. I'm well. Yeah, in person. Yes. It's great, isn't it?
Finally, yeah.
We were going to chat ahead of your gig at the Crystal Palace Bowl, but then it turns out last week you end up headlining Latitude Festival, BBC Soundstage. Yeah. What was that like?
Yeah, it was wicked. It was nice to get back to it. I've never been to Latitude. It's quite a posh festival, but it was just nice to see people, you know. They were really nice. Everyone was nice backstage. It was great. Food was good. You know, it was back to it, really. Back to work.
Mark and Mindy, Action Man and Cindy. I don't mess about. I make them kiss each other when my mum and dad go out. No messing, no curtain twitching, no stressing. I don't hang about, I get down and dirty, then get them falling out, then get them flirty, get them throwing plates at each other, cause that's what it's all about. I fuck off back to your own room, well gone, in the back room, when fuck all's going on, what's new, and the plate gets seen to that. I live on a really depressing cul-de-sac, where couples get divorced and people come up that you've never seen before. Like that, smell of cigars and oil, twat.
You go too high, too low, it doesn't make a difference, I know. Too high, too low, the system won't go.
How did it feel gigging again? Was there anything different about it?
No. No, you just slipped back into it. I was really nervous. I think Andrew was as well. But 10 minutes into the set, business as usual, you know.
And I wonder if you were concerned at all, you know, going back, big crowds, obviously we've been alone for 18 months, and then, you know, you're out at a festival, thousands of people. Was there a little COVID nervousness or?
No, a little bit. I mean, I shook about 4 or 5 people's hands. It felt really weird. Yeah. It did feel weird, you know. You're a bit hesitant, but apart from that, it was just nice to walk through crowds of people, you know. And just take you back to the basics that people need to be around each other, don't they? You know, it's that's one of the things about existence, I guess, isn't it?
You've written a lot before about work, wage anxiety, so I'm guessing there's an element as well of it's nice to be back out and, you know, earning and working again. Yes,
I needed to start earning again. I mean, we would have been all right for another year. I'll be honest, we've saved some money, but after that, we're in trouble, you know. So, I mean, it's obviously a more fortunate position than a lot of people, but you've worked all your life to get here, so it's, you know, you don't mind sort of turning around and telling people this, you know. Yeah. You've earned the right to, so to speak. But yeah, it was a relief to get back to it, and I think going forwards, I think, touch wood, things might be all right. You know, we've got a lot of gigs in the UK tour at the end of the year, a few more festival dates this year. They're all, you know, sort of on this island, so...
What can go wrong?
What can go wrong, yeah.
Fucking hell. Does that change, you know, from like progressing to being actually able to support yourself via your music? How has that affected sort of like your songwriting and your creative process? Do you feel almost like, well, I guess disconnected from the subject matter that you used to write about, like if you've moved away from it yourself?
A little bit, yeah. Obviously, I don't write about work anymore, not in that sense. I write about what I do now, perhaps. This song's dedicated to experiences on tour, you know, within the industry generally. So in a way, I've just switched jobs, so I've switched the kind of subject matter slightly. But yes, I wouldn't try to, you know, pin myself to the street anymore. Definitely not. I think that would be a little bit insulting.
Disingenuous.
Yes, yeah, definitely. But saying that, there are lots of things that still I think about from the memory bank that that go into songs, and they transport you back to that time a lot of the time. But I'd like to think I don't word it like I'm making out I'm sort of existing within that now, you know.
Mm-hmm. And obviously as well, this gig at Crystal Palace Bowl, it's pretty historic because, you know, there hasn't been regular live music there for decades. Sure. It's been a successful crowdfunding campaign. Sure. And now, you know, this is a place that, like, one of Bob Marley's last gigs, Pink Floyd, Carlos Santana, Eric Clapton, Gil Scott-Heron, and now Sleaford Mods. Don't laugh. I was going to say that's sick. You're like, oh, that's a joke.
No, I'm not. Someone sent me a picture of Lou Reed playing that. I'm like, fucking hell. I'm like, right. But no, it's I mean, it's yeah, we're headlining it, but it's not just about us on the day. I think it's Heavenly Records got the thing together. You've got Jane Weaver, Fat White Family, Catty J. Pearson, Aureli's. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's all of them. So it should be quite an interesting sort of day, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. And obviously Iggy Pop's Cockatoo can't be wrong either.
Oh, it's completely brilliant, that. He sent me it. What did he say? He went, hey, man, look at this, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Can I use it? He went, yeah.
Here's some UK music, Biggie. It's a bird song.
Start to Tuesday, sweat stains on bus windows. I don't want to ruin my coat.
Did his wonders.
Yeah, I bet.
It was like another album, that video.
In the drop, yeah. I would like to play the word association game with you, Jason. Okay. So I will say a word and you say the first thing that comes into your head.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
Matt Hancock.
Oh, fucking twat.
Grime.
Wicked.
The BBC.
Yeah, all right.
Nottingham.
All right.
London.
Good, yeah.
England.
Mixed.
America.
All right, yeah.
Keir Starmer.
Yeah, weird.
Job.
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 Money.
Jeff Bezos' spaceship.
Cunt.
Golf.
Shit.
Cricket.
Shit.
Lockdown.
Dishwasher.
Facebook.
Lockdown.
Billy No Mates.
Wicked.
Marcus Rashford.
Wicked.
The future.
Good.
Okay, nice breadth there.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of monosyllabic adjectives.
Yeah, I know, yeah, sorry, I was on the fence for a lot.
People are like, oh yeah, Jason Williamson's the poet laureate, and you're like, yeah, that's all right. That's all right. Shit. Okay, that's the fun over with. Yeah. You recently tweeted about being sober for 5 years.
Yeah.
And you wrote, I don't cherish them old days. I don't miss years under drugs. I'm starting to regret it deeply.
Yeah.
I would have been me anyway.
Yeah.
Could you expand on that a little bit?
Well, I used to do them under the impression that it gave me a bit more, initially it gave me a bit more of an edge, a bit more of an insight into creative ideas, to expand on them, but that soon passed and I just liked it for the buzz, you know, and everything that came with it. And then it became kind of habit. So that's why I kind of said that. I'm not sure if I made perfect sense with it, and I still don't know what I mean by that, but I just think that if I hadn't have done them, it would have been all right anyway, you know what I mean? I didn't need them, you know what I mean? It wasn't something that, you know, I needed to, you know, pin to my personality to walk forward in an interesting way, you know what I mean?
You had the confidence already?
Yeah, and I remember like refusing marijuana. I remember, yeah, you know, when I was doing GCSEs, I met up with a load of lads from the local grammar school and I started doing theatre studies and there was all these people smoking and I'm like, no, what are you doing? I didn't even drink then. But then I started drinking and then it was a slow descent, you know what I mean? But it does really, really shrink your world, I think, you know, because you're waking up every day, you're not feeling great, and you don't perceive things in a natural way, you know, you're not yourself. And, you know, I had a lot of issues, but at the same time, I'm quite a confident person, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think it would have been an issue to carry on. And the more I walk around sober and blah, 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 I just think about it, you know. you didn't have to attach yourself to the pack. You know, that was another thing. Everyone was doing it, so you kind of almost felt like an outcast. But did you? You know, the minute you stopped, would you see the world in a different way? That mass of people that you perceived as taking drugs and you feeling connected to would have shrunk dramatically, I think. You know.
Last time we spoke, we discussed English identity quite a lot.
Yeah.
And in the time since, there's been a sort of coalescing around the England football team, that sort of feeling of unity, which happens quite regularly now because the team's quite successful. Yeah. Did you feel that?
Well, I watched the England games from about the semi-finals onwards, I think. And it just struck me as this group of young people that were like really different to what we know as a patriotic football team, you know, on an international tournament, you know what I mean? They just struck me as people that you were going to see in years to come that would shape the country in a different way. Especially, and I know it's obvious, but Rashford coming out the last minute on, I think it was the second to last match. Just a lovely man, isn't he, you know? And you just think, this is it. This is the kind of bravery that I think, I'm hoping the younger generation are going to adopt. The intelligence. You got a real intelligent vibe from all of it, do you know what I mean? From the whole squad, even Kane, you know what I mean? Yeah. And he looks like your typical English captain, doesn't he? You know, and it's like, but you just got a good vibe from it all, and you just think, yeah, you know, that might hopefully shape the intellectual, you know, energy of this country in years to come. And that's what I got from it, really. You
feel like there's a degree of integrity about them?
I think so, yeah, to a certain degree. I mean, everyone has their issues and everyone makes mistakes, but you just got the vibe that they were just like, what? Fuck off. No, we're going to carry on with the world this way, you know.
We also saw the country's political leaders simultaneously pandering to the people who were booing those players when they were taking the knee, and then trying to attach themselves to that bandwagon when they started winning. Yeah. What's your view of that? I mean, it's pretty ugly, isn't it? Sure, it's a weird one because obviously they're running on that populist thing, aren't they? So they're jumping in one puddle and out of the other, aren't they? It's like, okay, oh shit, the energy's shifted. Okay, you know, football shirts on. I mean, the shirt over his shirt and tie. Fucking hell. I mean, clearly football isn't an Etonian thing, is it? No, not naturally. Didn't come naturally to it.
Didn't, did it? And it was like, you look like an absolute, but yeah.
Yeah. Were you surprised by what followed after we lost that final? Obviously the racial abuse of players like Rashford.
I was hoping for a bit of a better response, a more measured response. I was hoping people, because it's out there, intelligent information and thought is out there, it's there. And I think if you're choosing not to read it or think about it or adopt it, then you're just using racism as an excuse to vent your own problems, you know. So, I don't know. Did it surprise me? A little bit, but not too much, you know, definitely not. I mean, it was a mess, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was ugly. Yeah.
It was really ugly. And people jumping to get into the thingy. I mean, Wembley Stadium is I felt bad for the people working there. When we supported the Stone Roses, it was bedlam. They were throwing people out, not letting people in with tickets. And I don't know if it's an understaffed thing or whatever, but... Moving on to the crowd, you know, the mindset of some of them, it was disturbing, you know.
That crowd mentality is really interesting, isn't it? You probably get a good insight into it actually when you're gigging, when you can kind of see, you know, like a mob of people. I'm not like trying to be denigrating to your fans because I'm one of them, but
yeah, sure.
You know, do you know what I mean though? Like the way people behave when they're in groups, it's different when they're on their own, isn't it?
Completely and utterly, you know, it's the pack mentality, and it's people again just wanting to go out and hit things because they're pissed off, you know. Generally speaking,
it's like a conduit for their own internal.
Completely, yeah. Completely. Anyone I've spoke to in that game is suffering with mental health problems, you know.
I think like a lot of things as well, social media kind of amplifies the fringe elements of it, if that makes sense. We're seeing it with the anti-vaccine conspiracies too, you know. Yeah. How culpable do you think platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Telegram are or should be for the kind of the things that happen on them, whether it's racism from football fans or, you know, anti-vaccine conspiracy theories?
Sure, I think they play a massive part, don't they? You know, clicking onto a link and reading in a lot of cases, badly written, badly edited, if it's a visual article or whatever, it doesn't take 2 minutes, and it's there to serve your anxieties about something that you're panicking about, essentially, you know what I mean?
Do you think they're a source of social ill, or do you think they're just a conduit? Do you know what I mean? Do you think the ugliness, the resentment, the bad faith that already exists, and they amplify it, or like, what do you think the relationship between the two is?
Yeah, it already exists, obviously, because within society you've always got people that are largely oppressed, you know. There's always a bottom and a top and a middle, isn't there, you know, under the way that things are ran, you know, and that's been like that for the last 200, 300, 400 years, hasn't it? So you're going to get that. So yeah, you know, it just, anybody with a vested interest in whatever will use that energy to for their own advantage, you know. And particularly what we're seeing with the anti-vax thing is you're getting, I would suspect, I've not looked into it, but you are getting a lot of people with vested interests trying to cause chaos, panic, fear for their own ends, whatever ends they may be. You know, the world of business and behind closed curtains business is very complex, isn't it? But you just get the vibe that it's not right.
It struck me last time we spoke, you mentioned sort of like we're still living on the manor, like they're on the estate, yes, and we're on their land, and you know, it's like almost like feudalism.
Sure.
And I wanted to, maybe flesh that out a bit more, whether it's like, because obviously, you know, not the last 100 years, people be like, we've got universal suffrage, we vote now, there's democracy. But actually, I think there's an argument to be made that if you look at like the structures of power and who's in them, they still come from the same schools,
yes,
they go to the same universities,
yes,
and that, you know, there is still effectively a ruling class, isn't there?
Completely, yeah. I think they will shift the goalposts if they feel that the mood is bigger than their own standing, you know. And with the things that you've mentioned, you know, women's rights, etc., etc. Yeah, it got to a point where that just spilt over. It was, and I would imagine the same will happen with climate change, perhaps, racism, perhaps to a certain degree. Not now, probably another 50, 60 years. That's it. Enough is enough. Don't be fucking stupid. And they will adapt, you know. But there'll always be somebody. The thing is, we need somebody to lead us, don't we? And that's the thing. It's like we need somebody. You know, a lot of people aren't naturally bothered and don't think about it and just want to live largely simple lives, you know what I mean? So you're always going to need someone behind the wheel, so to speak. It's just that most of the time they're absolute cons.
Yeah, for sure. What gives you hope?
Just people, you know. Intelligence, you know, that little ray of sunshine that comes through somebody's tweet or an action, do you know what I mean? Or even just your kids' faces, you know. I've been thinking a lot about that lately, about how the palette doesn't necessarily have to be that complicated when you grow up, you know. You know, all these extra stains don't really need to be there, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
Jason Williamson, half of Sleaford Mods, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Tickets still on sale for South Facing at Crystal Palace Bowl. I will see you there.
Thank you very much.